Okay, so another question on options, a question that's probably going to be seen on your final exam on a comprehensive project or assessment. Now, typically, when you're dealing with an options question, you're really only facing either a payoff diagram, computing for payoff, or computing for profit. And I'm going to show you the best way to solve for this and to do so quickly and systematically. So what I need you to do is just follow with me step by step, and you'll be able to learn how to solve for options in a really easy and cool way, while also learning what options are all about. Let's jump into this. So suppose that Jake and Sarah are interested in speculating on Meta Platform stock, which is currently trading for $50 per share. The couple is considering to build a portfolio with the following positions. So as you can see, there are 4 positions that Jake and Sarah are hoping to take on Meta Platforms Inc. So we have the first one, which is we're going to buy a call option with a strike price of $45. The second option will be a purchase of a put option with a strike price of $55. And then we're going to have a sale of a call option for $60. Then we're going to have a sale of a put option for $40. Woo, let's go. Okay. And your mission for this question will be very straightforward. And that's going to be to draw a payoff diagram for this portfolio. Typically on an exam, nowadays, especially after the pandemic, you typically have a multiple choice question in which they're going to ask you to find the optimal point to maximize payoff. However, I'm going to get a little bit freaky with it, and I'm going to ask us to do a few things, or I'm going to guide us towards a few things. One is to build a payoff diagram, but for every single one of these positions. It's going to be long, it's going to be boring, but it's going to be worth it. And then 2 is to actually draw a payoff diagram, even if it's not necessarily something that you may see on an exam post-pandemic. And then I'm also going to show you the point at which your payoff will be maximized. So you're really going to get a cool view of every single pieces that you need to know to solve this question. And what's awesome is that typically the only thing that we really need to do here is to start by drawing off our payoff table. Now, a payoff table is literally the best tool to solve these types of option questions, either to find your payoff, to draw up your payoff diagram, or to find your profit. It will always be a fail-proof tactic to take, okay? Now, I'm gonna help you draw it up, and I'm gonna show you how we go about it. So the first step is to start with our columns, all right? So as you can see, the first column that we're going to draw up is going to be our positions. So why our positions? Because we're going to look at every single position that we are taking. If you're not too sure what positions are, it would be the purchase of a call, the purchase of a put, the sell of a call, and the sell of a put. So we're going to look at every single one of these options, no pun intended, within our rows, but we're not just there yet. The next set of columns that we care about, the second category of columns that we care about, it's the stock prices. Ooh, why stock prices? Well, the reason why we're going to look at stock prices is because we're going to run a simulation on a bunch of different stock prices that are going to be strategically picked in order to find out the payoff of every single one of these positions, as well as our entire portfolio. Okay, so let's go about doing that. However, I would like to say one thing. Students typically get scared when they need to draw up their payoff table because they're not sure what price or what stock price to choose when running this simulation. But fortunately for you, it's actually super, super, super easy. And the question or the prompt that you'll see on your exam will actually give you 80% of everything you need to do this, okay? So let me show you how we go about it. Well, in order for us to choose the stock prices to run this simulation, really, there's a fairly simple way to go about it. What we're going to do is we're just going to highlight all of the prices that were provided in the prompt. So you have $50, you have $45, you have $55, $60, and $40. Sorry about that. So already there, we know that we have, I can't even count, 5 prices that we can include within our payoff table that are going to be meaningful and that are going to be correct and that your teacher is going to be happy that you added. However, there are 2 more pieces that I would like to add to our payoff table. And I like to call this, I'm not too sure if it's really going to be my spiel, but I like to call it my extreme technique for option pricing. Okay, my extreme technique for option pricing, in which you're going to do, so I'm going to call it ET. in which you're going to look for two types of extremes. You're going to look for your lower bound and your upper bound. So the lower bound is really, really, really easy. Okay, so we're going to call it lower. The lower bound is really easy because you always just got to select 0. Your lower bound, okay, for your simulation will always be the price 0. So if you had a stock price, that'd be $0. You can't go past that price, right? If after $0, there's nowhere else you could go. Nobody's going to pay negative money to get a stock. And then for your extreme, for your upper bounds, there's actually two techniques to take. And these techniques will really just be a segment of the question that you're dealing with. It really does depend on what they're throwing at you. But the best way to go about this is by either the first technique or the second technique for your upper bound. The first one would state that you would take your minimum, so the smallest value provided in the question within the 5 stock prices we took, plus the highest value that they gave you. So in other words, I like to call it the min plus max approach. Minimum being the smallest price, which would be $40, maximum being the highest price, which would be $60. Okay, that's a really good way of going about it. Another good way of going about this is pretty straightforward, is by doing min times 2. Okay, and I'll tell you in a second what's the difference between these two options. Okay, so the reason why we may choose between min plus max or min times 2 is just depending on whether you feel like it, really. And the only reason why you would use the min times 2 method, or I guess a distinction between the two methods, would be when min times 2, right, is not bigger than your biggest value. In other words, if min times 2, okay, so I'll write this here. Actually, no, I'll write it at the top. If min times 2 isn't bigger than max, you must use min plus max. Okay, so that's just like, I guess, a little caveat, because then you're really going to get a comprehensive view on everything. In this case, min plus max would be 40 plus 60. So we would have 100. Then min times 2 would be 40 times 2, and you would have 80. Usually, depending on how big the gap is between the max price and the value I get here, I would choose the one that's like not too far away. But it's not like an exact science. They're both really good tools, and they're both going to be accepted by your professor. So don't you worry. Okay. I'm just going to extend this ever so slightly like this. All right. So now that we have all of these values, we can actually go ahead and plug them in and just place them within our payoff table. So within our payoff table, we're going to have our $0. So we could do this like that. We would have the next value, which would be $40. So the next stock price. We would have 45 and then 50. So we have a lot of values to place in. This is not going to be the most fun process ever, but you got to do it sometimes. $50, then we have 55. But hey, you're getting a comprehensive view. And this is something that, who knows, you may have on your exam. Then we have 60. Then I'm going to go with 80, just because it's, listen, there's no need to go all the way to 100 here. But once again, they're both okay. Like, you're not going to get, you're not going to lose any points for not going with min plus max. It's really up to you. Okay, so that said, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at our rows. And there's two categories of rows. The first category of rows will be all of our different positions. In this case, we have 4 different positions that we're going to essentially tabulate as being a row each. Okay, and then the second category of rows that we care about, which will be technically the 5th row, will be that of our payoff, because we want to find the total payoff for all of our 4 positions added together for one given stock price. You'll see what that looks like in just a second. It'll make more sense. Don't you even worry about it. So now we have one position right here. We're going to have another position right here. Then we're going to add another position. So we're at 3, just like that. So then we need another row to showcase our payoff. I guess we'll write our payoff right here. All right. So let's go ahead and write down every single one of our positions. Here's how I would go about it. We're going to write here buy call at 45. Now I'm kind of writing like a degenerate just because we don't have that much space. But on an exam, you're probably going to have much more space than I do. Okay, and then we're going to have our sell call at $60, and then we're going to have here a sell put at $40. Okay, so we have our 4 different positions, and now this is where it gets fun. We get to run through the actual computation of our payoffs. So in order for us to do this, though, we need to understand, well, what is a call and what is a put? Because we are starting with a call, we're going to just do that for now. Okay, so a call is the right to sell an underlying asset at a specific price for a specific amount of time. Now, in normal people English, this means that for Facebook stock, so for Meta Platform stock, we're going to have the right to buy it at a specific price for a given amount of time. And this becomes extremely powerful when we have a stock price that is higher than our call option, right? Because then you get to have some savings. Then you get to have a payoff because you're paying less than what's on the stock market. And if you're a rational person, that's a W. You're extremely happy about that. So let's run through the simulation together for the first position. So if we have a purchase of a call option at an exercise price of $45 and the stock price is $0, then you would not use your call option. The reason why you wouldn't use your call option is because, well, why would I purchase something at $45 when I could get it for free on the market? And when you do not exercise a call option, your payoff will always be equal to 0. So here, our payoff will be $0. The same train of thought will apply if the stock price is 40 bucks. Because if it's 40 bucks, it wouldn't make sense for us to decide willingly to buy it at 45 bucks. And for that reason, we will not exercise our call option. And for that reason, our payoff will be 0. Now, what if our stock is trading at $45 and we have a call option to purchase it at $45? Well, in this case, it's very awesome because we are indifferent. We don't care to use our option and we don't care to buy it on the stock market. So it's kind of like a limbo stage. And in that case, you would have no benefit. You would have no saving opportunity. So your payoff would be equal to 0 as well. Now, what about if the stock price is $50 on the market, okay? And we have a call option at $45. This is where the magic happens because we know that typically we could only buy the stock at $50, strange, $50 on the stock market, but now we have the option to exercise our call at 45 bucks. So we'll be spending $5 less than what's on the market. We'll be executing on a saving of $5. And that's going to be a payoff of $5 for us. That's how you want to visualize it in a very simple, straightforward fashion. So our payoff would be $5. And if our payoff was $5 if the stock price was trading at 50 bucks, then of course it'll be 10 bucks if it's trading at 55, and then it'll be 15, and then it'll be 35 right here. Okay, I hope that wasn't too fast for the later part. I mean, it's literally just 80 minus 45. Come on, you got this. Okay, now let's move on to buying a put at $55. So what is a put? A put is the right to sell an underlying asset at a specific price for a specific amount of time. So in this case, we're comparing our stock price and the price of our put at which we're able to sell this underlying stock. So if our stock is trading at $0, okay, and we have the right to sell it at $55, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to sell at 55 bucks such that a buyer will be obligated to purchase it at $55. So you'll be able to make the difference between the stock price and the put value. Okay, so a really good rule to have here is that any time that your stock price is smaller than your put, the difference between the two will be your payoff. Such that in this case, if your stock price is $0 and you have a put of 55 bucks, yep, we'll be able to make $55 off the sale. And then it'll be $40. Then it'll be Wow, I'm so sorry, guys. My brain was like, that don't make no sense. It'll be $15. Sorry about that. Then it'll be $10. Then it'll be $5. Then it'll be $0 here. Now, the reason why it's $0 if the stock price is 55 bucks and our put is at $55 is because, well, in this case, you don't benefit from the sale of this put. People will buy it at that same price anyways. They don't care, okay? It'll be the same thing. You'll be indifferent in using it or not. And in that case, if you're indifferent, it'll be $0. And another way to look at this is, once again, the payoff of a put is simply the difference of your put to the stock price, okay? And if it's 60 bucks, well, of course you won't use it because then you're not benefiting from anything. People are buying it at 60 bucks on the market, so it's not worth it. And same thing for $80, okay? So that's pretty awesome. Now we could move on to selling a call option, okay? Selling a call option is very interesting because essentially you're using the same framework still. You're gonna find the payoff for that given stock price. However, then you're just gonna add a negative, or I guess a minus sign in front of the value you get, because now we're foregoing the opportunity to make that payoff if the stock price was, call it $0, $40, 45 bucks or 50 bucks or 55 bucks or 60 bucks or 80 bucks, okay? So let's run through this idea. You'll see how I go about it. So once again, if we have a call at 60 bucks, we won't make a dollar payoff up until we are greater than $60 for our stock price. So we're gonna have $0 all the way here. But if the stock price was trading at $80 and we had a call at 60 bucks, well, technically, we would have the opportunity to make $20 payoff, right? $20 in savings. However, because we sold this call, right? Notice how we sold these two options. We're going to have a minus sign in front of our $20 because we are foregoing this opportunity. We will never make that money. We gave that opportunity to somebody else. So we have a negative sign in front of that potential value we could have had. Okay, very important. Now, what about a put? The put, it will be, once again, the same idea. You're going to find the value. You're going to find the potential payoff in that scenario. In this case, our potential payoff would have been 40 bucks, right? If the stock price was trading at $0. But because we are selling our put, we are foregoing that opportunity. And then we're going to have to add a minus in front of $40. And of course, it'll be $0 everywhere else because you wouldn't have any benefit of using it. So $0. $0. Okay. So now we have all of our values. This is awesome stuff. All that we have to do now is we need to sum all of these different positions together for that given simulation stock price. Okay. So in this case, I don't know, we'll use orange. So if we add $55 to minus 40, right, because this is the sum of all of our positions for that given stock price, we're going to have $15. And here we're going to have $15. Here we have $10. Here we have $10. Here we have $10. Here we have $15. And here we have $15. So notice how it's really between 15 and 10, 15. Okay. So there's a few spots where we could actually maximize our payoff, which is pretty interesting. In this question on the exam, they may ask you, well, how many spots are there where we can maximize payoff within your payoff table or payoff diagram? So in this case, we would have $0, $40, $60, and $80, all being stock prices at which you'd be able to maximize your payoff. Another question you may have is that, well, okay, what if the stock price was 50 bucks? Would you be able to maximize your payoff then? You would answer no, right? So just different ways to look at this question. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move a few things just such that we have space to build our payoff diagram. So let me see how I want to go about this. I'm going to move a few things. I just want this to be comprehensive and easy to read and legible afterwards. So let me move this probably around here. Yeah, why not? And I'm going to make our payoff diagram on the little right-hand side here, okay? So let's draw it up together. The payoff diagram is a walk in the park, or yeah, I think that's the same. It's super easy to do. All that you got to check out is that you're going to have your stock price on your horizontal axis, so on your x-axis, and you're going to have your payoff, right, on your y-axis, so your vertical axis. So this will be our payoff diagram. Okay, and what we're going to do now, just because we are super duper comprehensive, sometimes I hate myself because that was so cringe, but I guess we're going to call this color here. Actually, the first position, we're going to draw it. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. We're going to draw our first position in purple on our line, on our payoff table. We're going to draw the second position as blue. We're going to draw the third position as a different color, I guess, as gray. We're going to draw the fourth position as red. And we're going to draw our total portfolio payoff as being orange. Okay. So these are our different color codes that we're going to use on our payoff diagram. But of course, before actually doing anything, we're going to need to highlight all of the different points within our stock prices. So we're going to have 0, then we're going to go, I guess, here for 40. Then we're going to have 45. Then we're going to have 50. Then we're going to have 55. I count like a 3-year-old. And then we're going to have 60 right here. And we're going to put like 80 here, type of thing. Okay. And then we have different payoffs that we need to acknowledge. I'm not going to like adventure too much. Actually, I guess I could. Why not? We're going to have it being like this, perhaps. You'll see why this matters in just a second. I'm going to erase this and put this right here. So you'll see why this matters in just a second. Okay. So now we have all of our prices. I'm going to make it a little bit more clear so it's, legible for you. I'm just a perfectionist. Now, what can I say? I'm going to make this a little bit more legible, just such that when you review this later, it's not too bad. You'll see why this matters in just a second. So now we have all of our stock prices. Now we're going to write all of our different payoffs that are available. So we know we could have a $5 payoff. We know we could have a $10 payoff. We know we could have a $15 payoff as well. Now we identified 5, 10, 15. We know we could get 35. Yeah, so we could go maybe here as being 35. Then we're going to go here. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to make this nicer. This nicer. That being 55. We'll put price like that. So what we're trying to do is we're just trying to put all of the payoffs from our payoff table onto our payoff diagram just to make it kind of cute and nice afterwards. So we know that our negative payoffs, right, they could be minus 20 and minus 40. So I'm going to put minus 20 here. I'm going to put minus 40 here. Okay. And now that we have all of this, we're actually able to draw our gosh darn it payoff diagram for every single one of these positions and for our general portfolio. So if we look at the buy call position at 45 bucks, you notice that you're going to have a $0 payoff up until the value 45. Okay, right? The stock price at $45. Then when the stock price is 50 bucks, you're going to have a payoff that's like somewhere here. Okay. Then at 55 bucks, you're going to have a payoff that's somewhere around here. And at 60 bucks, you're going to have a payoff that's, I guess, somewhere here. And at 80 bucks, you're going to have a payoff that's like right here. So we could actually draw this up as being something like this. Okay. It's not the cutest thing ever, but I could make it such that it works a little bit better. So we're going to move our $80 ever so slightly. Here, perfect. So now we have essentially what our payoff diagram would look like for a purchase of a call with a strike price of 45 bucks. You notice that it's a call. So remember how I said before that for a call to be valuable to you, you would need the stock price right, to be bigger than the actual exercise price of the call. So a call is pretty interesting when you expect the price of a stock to increase. Okay, it becomes interesting then because you have the benefit of purchasing it at a smaller price. So that's really the value. Now we could look at our put. So our put, we notice that at $0, we're going to have a payoff of 55 bucks, right? And at $40, we're going to have a payoff of, call it 15 bucks. And at 45, we're going to have a payoff of 10. And at 50, we're going to have a payoff of 5. At 55, we're going to have a payoff of 0. Then, of course, after that, our payoff will be equal to $0 because we would not exercise our our call option. Okay, so we can make these a little bit bigger like that. There you go. So that's going to be our payoff diagram for our purchase of a put option at $55. So notice how a put option is only valuable to you when the stock is trading at a smaller price. Okay, that's the whole value. So a put option is dope when you expect the price of a stock to actually shrink and decrease and become smaller. Okay, so you really maximize value there. Now let's look at our good old gray, I guess. So what's interesting is that we're going to have our position, right? If we want to draw a payoff diagram, we notice that it's $0 all the way to the stock price of 80 bucks. At 80 bucks, we're going to have a very strange, and I guess we'll put it here, a very strange like occurrence. Well, because our payoff will be negative. So we're actually going to have something like this for our call option that we're going to sell. So we notice that it's going to be $0 all the way to 60, and then it's going to go just like this. Okay, so that's what's really interesting with sales of like call options or put options, is that you get a negative payoff, and you can illustrate it something like this. Now, what about our put? Our put's super interesting as well. Our put will be essentially it's going to yield a payoff of $0 from 40 bucks all the way to 80 bucks. So we can kind of draw this as being $0 all the way here. Okay, but what's interesting is that we notice that if the stock price were to be $0, we know that that put would have been giving you a payoff of 40 bucks. But in this case, because we're selling it, we're going to have a payoff of minus 40. So our put that we're selling looks a little bit like that. And now here's where the magic happens. The real magic, okay? It's when we're drawing the payoff of our portfolio. Notice how all of these different positions all have different intricacies, different nuances. They literally showcase different stories for Jake and Sarah. But if we mix all of them together, we get a whole different like payoff. We actually get to a point where our payoff will be positive no matter what, and where we're able to maximize our payoff for quite a while. Okay, so let's try to plot that onto our little payoff diagram. So we know that if the stock is trading at 0 bucks, we're going to have $15 as our payoff. We know that if it's trading at 40 bucks, we're going to have $15 as our payoff. We know that if it's trading at 45, we're going to have $10 as our payoff. We know if it's 50, we're going to have $10 as our payoff. We know that if it's 55, we're going to have $10 as our payoff. And we know that if it's 60, we're going to have $15 as our payoff. And we know that if it's 80, we're going to have this much as our payoff. So we could draw it up as being something kind of cute, I guess. It's not the cutest thing ever, but it works. And this would be our payoff diagram. Right? This would be our payoff diagram. It would look something like this. So it would kind of maximize the payoff towards $15. And then it would sink in all the way to 10 bucks between, it seems, 40 bucks all the way to 60 bucks. Then it would rise all the way up once again to a payoff of $15. So what's really interesting, and if you're interested into options trading, is that you're really like never losing in this case, right? Your payoff is always like also consistent, but it's consistent throughout all the realms of stock prices. Imagine a world where you're able to figure those things out. That would be completely awesome. So that's how you draw a payoff diagram with 4 positions in which you're buying and selling those distinct positions. And they can be a call, they can be a put. So this is how you really get a sense to solve a exam-like question. I hope this helped you out. I hope this was like actually helpful and that you got to learn a few things. And if not, just let me know in the description below. I'd be more than happy to let you know that I'm always ready to, help you and change things and give you different views because I just want you to help. I just want you to be empowered, and that's why I'm helping. So don't hesitate to go through my YouTube channel. Don't hesitate to go through my website. In which you're going to find a plethora, big word, plethora, of contents that are made for you, that are made to kind of make this studying process as a business student something that's human, something that's not static, something that's empowering. Because I know that you're awesome, and you may not believe it yet, but this is going to be an opportunity for you to showcase how awesome you are and really get that average up for your class, get that grade that you deserve. Okay, so I'll see you next time.